Laura, thank you so much for finding time for us. Today really is a day of reflection, isn't it? And then, as they say, France then votes this time with its head rather than its heart. Do you think it is close to call?
Yes, I think it's close to call. And, in 2016 in the United States, all the polls were predicting Hillary Clinton. And in the middle of the night, we discovered in the United States that Donald Trump was going to be elected. This is a very volatile election. Emmanuel Macron, until the end, did a very good campaign. The debate was good for him. However, you have a lot of resentment, you have a lot of anger, you have a lot of people who are expressing polls after polls that they're fully disillusioned by the political parties. So I will say that I'm cautious. We have to be cautious and see what this democracy wants for the next 5 years. And as you said quite well, the far right and the Le Pen party is really high at this moment, close to 50%. So no matter what, there's a real division in the French society like never before.
Absolutely fascinating. I'll tell you the other thing that struck me, and while you were giving that answer, Laura, we're lucky enough to be joined by folk on radio as well as on television. We were running some pictures of the Le Pen rallying and also Macron. There's a lot of very young people turning out for Le Pen, and she's toned down some of the racist stuff and really bigged up the economy, lower taxes for young people just starting out in working life. That struck me as having touched a chord.
Yeah, and that's the problem of the Macron campaign. You have a lot of young people who are saying we don't want to vote for him. We prefer to vote for the extremes. So the young vote is splitting between the far right, but also the far left, with someone who is really going to be really important in what I'm calling the third round, which is going to happen just after Sunday with a kind of a midterm election in June to decide which will control the parliament, the French parliament, and who will become the French prime minister. The far left is really important in the youth. For the youth, they're expressing again poll after poll that they don't like any of the candidates. And yes, you have a lot of young people showing in front of the camera for Marine Le Pen. But you have, I will say, a lot of French who want Marine Le Pen in power and who absolutely hate Emmanuel Macron. And what is really interesting for me is that, I live in the United States. I came back to cover this election as a journalist. And in 2017, I was working for Macron, and the vote at this time was against Marine Le Pen. At this time, coming back to France, I can really see that half of the French people are telling me, we don't like him, we don't want him anymore. Yes, he might be very good for Europe. Yes, he has a lot of experience in the international issues, but there were many, many crises, and he's not close enough to us. So again, let's see what tomorrow will happen. Let's see how the voters will decide. I'm cautious, and no matter what, if tomorrow Emmanuel Macron wins, it needs to be a really big victory. Otherwise, I will predict that the country will remain very divided with a lot of anger, a lot of resentment, and Macron will have to compose very soon if he's elected with this anger.